Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be doing another foundation review and we will be looking at the GloWish Skin Tint by Huda Beauty. I am also super excited today because I'm joined by my very good friend Hannah behind the camera, and so she'll be adding in her color commentary along with G Brown's snarky commentary that I'm sure will come up at some point. First off, this is $37 and you do get 1.35 ounces, which is more than your standard foundation. So usually foundations are like 1 fluid ounce. And the description is that it is a clean, fragrance-free, buildable skin tint foundation formulated with squalene that instantly brightens and leaves the skin with a dewy finish. Now, I will tell you guys right off the bat, my sister and I actually both purchased this at the same time. She ended up returning hers because she had a slight allergic reaction to it. And so I'm kind of apprehensive about that just because I'm like, ooh, I don't really want to have an allergic reaction, but we're going to move forward anyway and try it out. But here is the packaging. It does come with your standard like tint and moisturizer packaging, but what's really nice is that it comes with a pump so you can really control how much comes out of this. And you can tell that I have already swatch tested this. I talked about it in my Sephora video where I was talking about the things that I like splurged on, which was like highly excessive, but we'll move on from that. So here this is again light medium 4. And so online actually the description of this is that it is supposed to be light medium skin tones with pink neutral undertones. Obviously I normally am more golden, but this one in store seemed to be the best match for me, so we'll kind of see how that goes. I don't think they have a ton of like shades. Like I'm just looking online and I can see like it's not like your standard, like not standard really, but like the Fenty Beauty line obviously has like the 30 plus or 40 plus shades. This is obviously not as much, but I do wonder if it's supposed to be light coverage, and so sometimes you can kind of get away with not having as many shades. The other thing I wanted to say though, interestingly enough, is that the reason why we picked it up is because they say that it's supposed to be like light coverage, but when I swatched it in store, I was like, this is a decent amount of coverage, so I was excited to try it. Normally, I would try and do half of my face with a beauty blender and then the other half with a foundation brush. Generally speaking, I find with like skin tints or tinted moisturizer, I tend to keep it more just with brushes because I do think that if you use a beauty blender, you kind of lose like coverage, and so we're just gonna stick with a brush today. All right, so here it is, and I'm gonna do just one pump for now. It's a pretty thick texture, honestly. Like sometimes you think of tinted moisturizers as being a lot more like thin, you know what I mean, in like formula. So we talk with our hands, okay? Alright, so here's our first layer, just using finger to apply that. Dude, see, like, that's why I was like, I don't feel like this is a light coverage skin tint. If you look at that, like, that's a decent amount of coverage, right? I don't know. Alright, so maybe it is pretty light coverage. Because there's still a little bit of redness that's peeking through here. Let's go ahead and cover the rest of the face and we'll see kind of how it looks from there.
It's a good shade match, though.
Yeah, I think so. Like this side looks pretty good.
Definitely glowy.
Very glowy. I will say though, I do not have a layer of moisturizer underneath this. I find that when I do skincare, skin tinting, like formulas, and then I also have moisturizer underneath, I tend to get very, very oily throughout the day. So I skipped my moisturizer step. I just have primer underneath this skin tint. So obviously I have the Yensa Tone Up Primer in Essential Glow as my primer. Okay, so it is actually lighter coverage than I originally thought. When I swatched it in store and put it on my hand, I thought that it would be a little bit fuller coverage, but this is really nice. It is definitely very glowy, very dewy. I almost don't want to add on another layer because I'm afraid that it might become too oily like throughout the day. So I'm kind of thinking that I might want to just cover up some of this redness with concealer instead of an extra layer of the skin tint, because I just think I don't want it to be too like, you know, because my skin gets oily. I'm assuming you guys know what I mean when I do hand gestures. Actually, it looks really nice around my nose. I mean, so you guys know that like this is my trouble area right here. So I have lots of pores right here, and then I have creasing here. And actually it looks pretty good. It doesn't look like it's emphasizing any of my fine lines, Pores don't seem to be an issue right now. And then in terms of being worried about an allergic reaction, I don't feel anything right now either. This is so red. I'm really tempted to put on another layer. I will obviously take you guys on an all-day wear test with this. I'm not expecting this to be a long-lasting formula, but I am curious to see how it looks throughout the day. I'm obviously also curious to see if I get an allergic reaction to it. So I'm going to do the rest of my makeup. I think I'm going to go a little bit heavier on my concealer to just help a little bit with the redness on my face, but we'll see how everything layers on top. So see you in a few seconds. All right, makeup is completely on. I will say everything went on very, very smoothly. By the way, if you are looking for a really good translucent powder that is at the drugstore, like at Target, the No. 7 Translucent Perfect Light Loose Powder is incredible. Like, this literally will go over any foundation and make it look so smooth. This is indeed a skin tint. It is not going to give you intense coverage. If you are someone who is blessed with beautiful skin and you don't need a lot of coverage, I think that this would be a really nice product, particularly if you have dry skin. I'm curious to see how it goes on my oily skin, but we'll kind of see how it wears throughout the day. The other thing I was going to say though is that concealer does layer beautifully on top of this skin tint as well. So if you are like me and you just need a little bit more coverage to hide some of that redness in your skin, it is totally achievable. I just went through with one of my favorite concealers. This is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Correcting Concealer, and I just dotted it on a few areas where I was like, oh, that redness is intense, and it looks good. It blended in really well. So yeah, first impressions wise, I'm liking this as a skin tint so far. Not having an allergic reaction to it yet, but it's really only been like 20 minutes. So we will see how things go. I'm leaving my house, so I'm gonna bring makeup wipes so that if I do end up having an allergic reaction, then I can like remove it. But we'll talk about that obviously. So yeah, I'll bring my vlogging camera and we will see how things go. See you guys in a little bit. Hey everyone, we are at our 3-hour mark for this skin tint, and it looks incredible. Honestly, like, my face looks even better than the Patrick Ta cream foundation that I tried a couple weeks ago. Like, it's not, okay, I feel like I can't really compare it to that because it's like not at all the same formula. Obviously, the Patrick Ta was a cream foundation and this is a skin tint, but I love how my face looks. I love how, like, it doesn't really look like I'm wearing too much foundation. It looks like the skin tint just sank directly into my skin. Obviously, I do think that light layer of powder that I did put over it is really helping, just because for me, I do tend to have really oily skin, and so I do need that extra layer of like just a little bit of mattifying to keep things from getting too shiny. But honestly, like, look at this. I'm gonna give it a second to zoom, but it looks pretty good, right? Like, I literally was just washing my hands in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I was like, your face looks good. Your face looks really good. And actually, I'm not even noticing. This is not that bad. There's a little bit of creasing right here that you can definitely see, but it has been way worse than this before. So I am thinking that because it is a skin tint, I don't really expect it to have like long wear or anything like that. So what I'm thinking is that like by the end of the day, it's probably not gonna look so good, but we'll give it a chance. We'll see what happens. And so I'll see you guys in a few hours. Hey everyone, we are at our second check-in now. So we have now had this skin tint on for about 6 hours. And is it me or does it look really good? Like, don't mind the fact that my lips are super chapped. It's very dry. But my face looks like not bad. It looks pretty smooth. There's obviously a little bit removing itself right here. You can see there is a little bit of a breakdown, but it's not like the worst that I've ever seen. This is reminding me a lot of the Milk Makeup Sunshine Skin Tint, which I also really love. There is something about both of these skin tints that just smooths your skin and just makes it look like so, not necessarily like high coverage, but it just looks like your skin is really, really healthy and very smooth, and there's not a lot of like really bad pigmentation or a lot of bumps or anything like that. Like, I'm kind of impressed, and it's not like I used a primer that was super pore filling either, and so that's why I'm just kind of I'm a little bit baffled at the finish of this and how much I like it. Like, I'm just surprised. I'll do my final check-in before I take my face off for the night, and yes, that is what I call it. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a few hours, but so far, like, so far so good. All right. Hey everyone, it is now time for our final check-in. And I have to say, like, okay, so my forehead is definitely super oily right up here. You can definitely see that. But what I wanted to point out to you, and hopefully this is coming across, you can see how it's already, like, obviously, in my trouble areas, you can see that the skin tint, I have to keep calling it a skin tint because it's not technically a foundation, but you can see that it's coming off. But if I look super closely though, the way that it's wearing off my skin is not very, like, it's not patchy to the point where I'm, like, alarmed by how it's wearing off. Like, it's actually wearing off very beautifully, very naturally. Like, again, I feel like what's really nice about this is that my skin looks smooth underneath. And then it just, as it wears off, it's kind of just, it's like my natural skin starts peeking through versus it being like very noticeable, like patch, patch, patch. So honestly, this is not bad for a skin tint that isn't even like we are way past the 12-hour mark at this point. Like, we are approaching 14 at this point. I will see you guys in a few days in order to do our final thoughts, but so far so good. Like, I like this way more than the Patrick Ta cream foundation. Like, it just looks, yeah, it looks good. I like it. All right, we'll see if I feel the same way in a couple of days. And by a couple of days, I mean at the end of the week. So I'm so tired. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey everyone, welcome back. It is now actually a week and a half later because I had to film the first impressions of the GloWish skin tint earlier because I was going to be traveling. So I have extra established my opinion. I'm also extra tired because I landed super, super late last night, woke up very early for early meetings, and so that's why I decided to put on my fun earrings, is because I was like, we need a little pizzazz. So let's go ahead and talk about this. This skin tint was so good and impressed me so much during my first impressions and that first week that I was using it that I literally brought this on my travels. Like, I didn't bring a foundation. I literally just brought this skin tint and a high coverage concealer, and I felt confident that my face was going to look excellent on my trip. So for me to go from like just trying this for a week and then being so enamored with it and bringing it with me on the trip, like, that's impressive. I do have a couple of thoughts though, and I did write this down. The shade matching, I think, is a little bit difficult with this product. I will say that this did turn a little bit more pinkish, a little more cool toned on my skin, particularly as I was in New York and did not see sun at all the whole time I was there. And so even just with a couple of days of my skin really becoming like its winter shade, this kind of got a little bit dark for me. So if you are looking to purchase this, just be aware of that. Make sure that you actually go into the store and swatch it if you can. It does lean a little bit cool toned. So if you are super golden, this may be really difficult for you to find a really good shade match. The second thing is that while this is long lasting for a skin tint, it is not going to be long lasting if you are super oily or you're kind of like me, right? Where I get super oily right here and then on my cheeks. And so what I ended up having to do with this is that I did use a lot of mattifying products with it. So for example, I did use a mattifying primer underneath. I would use a mattifying powder, and then I definitely set my face with setting spray to just make sure that it would stay on all day long. Once I took those precautions, this lasted about 12 hours. Which is really, really good. But the reason why I think that hassle is worth it is just because I do think that the way it makes your skin look, it looks so, so healthy. And then there's something in this product, it's probably the squalene that's in it, but it feels, your skin literally feels so hydrated at the end of the day when you remove this that it's like, it's really quite impressive. So I like this. I like this a lot. If you can find a shade match, I would recommend checking it out. So yeah, I'm gonna stop blabbing because I still have a lot of work I need to get to. Oh, what is my life? That's the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you liked it, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Okay.